From vampires to speakers to sorceresses, Castlevania has such a rich array of characters, specifically their females, that I feel like do not get talked about enough. Welcome everyone to my channel. Today's video, I'll be discussing some of my favorite female characters, and so I just want to give you my thoughts on them and why do I feel like they've carried and had such a lasting impression. So if this is something that interests you, sit back, relax, and let's dive in. So kickstarting the conversation, I want to give Lisa Tepesh a spotlight. Lisa is our first introduction into the series, and you know right off the bat she's not your typical damsel in distress. She really helps shape a lot of the kind of like the worldviews and a lot of the reasons why Dracula ends up falling into a deep depression later on. And I just want to talk a little bit more about her. So Lisa is depicted as a woman of science. She's quick-witted, she's smart, she's flirty. Really what stands out to me the most about her is how she was able to walk into Dracula's castle casually, not really bat an eye on, all of the different equipment and just otherworldly things that he has access to. She just, it's like a girl in a candy store, right? That being said, because she is so confident in who she is, she being the mortal woman that she is, you would think she has nothing to offer Dracula, and that couldn't be further from the truth. I believe she taught him compassion, empathy, and she really taught him to learn to appreciate humans outside of them just being livestock and cattle. Because they mention it throughout the series that humans really are just there for them to feed on. And fortunately for Dracula, Lisa has been able to open up his eyes. I think it is important in any story that women should be depicted as strong, fearless, and Lisa still retains her womanhood and her air of femininity, but she still comes across as very strong, and she's not a fighter, right? In a series where everyone is either a vampire killer or a sorceress, she's probably the most normal person in the series, but probably exhibits the most strength. Even before she died and was burned, she was still praying that Dracula would forgive them and show them mercy, and that just goes to show how strong her character is. So wanted to lead off with Lisa because she kickstarted it off for all of us. Now, sticking to the original Castlevania series, I would be not doing this video as a service if I did not bring up Sypha. Sypha is so freaking cool to me. She's a speaker magician for starters, and she's introduced as very scholarly, very smart, very almost like I wouldn't even say a bookworm, but just almost naive to the world. Like she's very book smart, but she's not street smart, right? And you get to see her relationship evolve with Trevor, which I still think Trevor and Sypha have one of the most amazing chemistries on screen. That being said, Sypha's able to stand on her own. She doesn't necessarily need Trevor or Alucard to shine on her own. We have several moments with Sypha where she is politely letting people know, I could kill you just by looking at you, and I'm trying to show restraint. There is a level of mess around and find out about Sypha that I really appreciate, and as the series progresses and kind of like Trevor's influence really kind of amplifies Sypha's personality, you really get to see like, man, Sypha, there's a reason why, when you skip all the way into Nocturne, why Sypha's bloodline is still very powerful. I would love for them to kind of show us after the fact, part one, some of the things she got into, because you just know Sypha really did become a powerful speaker magician towards the end of the series. If I could describe Sypha in 3 words, they would be fierce, they'd be loyal, it would be, she has a level of determination about her. She doesn't take no for an answer. Once she makes her mind up, she doesn't change it for anything. You've seen her, especially when it comes to her compassionate side. She'll stop what she's doing to go help villagers in need. And I almost would think that Sypha became the moral compass of the three. I would say the 3-way, but out of the 3, out of Alucard, Trevor, and Sypha, I believe Sypha would be that moral compass that kept him grounded and kept him humble, and I'm sure she kept him accountable. So wanted to give Sypha her flowers because, again, she's like a walking avatar. If you guys watch Avatar: The Last Airbender, she controls the element. She's pretty dope. Now, next up, I want to switch things up just a little bit. I started off with 2 heroes, 2 good guys, but again, I wouldn't be doing this video service if I did not give my girl Carmila her spotlight. Carmila came in midway, and I played the games. I'm aware she is a pivotal character in the series, but I had no idea what to expect when I saw her on my TV screens. Carmila is so iconic to me for multiple reasons. She has so many one-liners that I recite to this day. I will never forget when she walked into Dracula's castle, sickening. It reminded me of Lion King when Sarabi was walking past the hyenas and they were like kind of like howling at her and giving her the mean mugs. That was the same energy that Carmila had when she was walking past the generals. And the way she captured everyone's attention in the room when she said, "Why did you never turn your wife? You married her, she bore a child, and yet she was never turned. Why is that?" Which was a valid question. Very ballsy of her, considering Dracula could probably snap her neck without even trying. But it just goes to show like what time she was on. There's something very calculating about Carmila. Ambition. Like she said, I'm all full of ambition, right? Ambition would be tattooed right on her forehead. You can tell that she does have a tragic backstory. Even before she was turned, I'm sure like her life as a human was probably right with struggle. And I think that even though she's ambitious and she wants to take over the world, I root for her. I do. What I really liked about Carmila is, although she was ambitious and although she was conniving and sneaking, she didn't come across as arrogant to me. She came across as someone who is sick and tired of mad old men taking over the world. And why wouldn't she want to take over the world? They can do it. Why can't she? And I just felt like she really owned that. And I love the fact that I believe it was the Vampire Quartet, where they're all women vampires. They each all have like their own different personalities too. And so she might have been like a complete you know what towards Hector, but you could tell that she took care of her people. She took care of her kingdom, or her I guess her region, right? She seems like a very fair and what am I trying to say here, a very fair leader in her own right. Granted, she's a vampire, so I know she's, you know, evil on the low key. There's a level of pride about her that we got to see during her fight with Isaac. Again, another line that I recite is when she's like, "You don't deserve my blood. You're not big enough to kill me." It just goes to show, like, even though she is getting bodied, she's not going to ever submit or surrender or even admit that she's been bested. And I mean, even right up to the moment she dies, she goes, "Hey, I'm Carmila of Styria, and F you," stabs herself, blows herself to smithereens. Isaac is lucky that Night Creature was the MVP in that fight, because that explosion should have taken him out. But that's how you go out like a boss. Carmila, she's that girl. She'll always be that girl. She is, as far as like vampires, she's easily in my top 2. And my number 1 is going to be at the tail end of this video. Now, next up for my favorite female character in the new season would have to be Drolta. Drolta. And it's no secret that I'm a fan of hers, right? Drolta has been such a treat to me and a lot of the fans. Between her one-liners, between her fashions, between her motivations, between how she just carries the show on her back. I mean, they killed her and brought her back for a reason, because her back is tired. She's been carrying it, right? Drolta is such an interesting character for me due to her backstory, due to her position in the show. She's playing second fiddle to Ursabet, but you always feel like, I don't know, there's something very like boss bitch about her, right? There's something very much like, I feel like she's in more control than what she's letting on. And when we get those insights into her backstory, she used to be a high priestess for Sekhmet. She, prior to being turned, was focusing on healing and taking care of her people and just making sure that she was an overall good person. And she somehow got warped, and when she turned into a vampire, it warped that devotion into like cult-like devotion. And now she's trying to bring back her goddess by any means. And it just kind of shows how warped and demented she is. But even that being said, I still rock with her. Like, I feel like the vampires in Castlevania are all just a little crazy and a bit insane. And I believe like vampirism, it just amplifies that crazy just a little bit. But for Drolta, like, yeah, she might be, maybe a couple of doctor's visits away from being admitted, but she's gonna give you a look. She's gonna give you fashions. I don't know who was styling her, because the French Revolution was what, the 1700s, but she had like this modern look about her, and I'm like, okay, girl, who's your stylist? Because you got pumps on in one episode, you got like this BDSM look in another one, you had this sickening see-through lingerie when she was like in the bed. Like, girl, they wasn't making that back in the day. Who's styling you? And again, Castlevania Nocturne, the people who are behind conceptualizing the characters and drawing them, they eat. I'm not going to get too much on like, her transformations and kind of like her story, because I have done videos on that, but she's probably going to be like my number one girl for a while until they come up with someone else. I just think that she is incredible. She's strong. She has stage presence when she's on screen. Like, she's captivating. So Drolta for sure, she deserves. Last but not least, Tera. And I know a lot of folks were like not expecting that. There's a couple others from Nocturne that I could have chosen, but Tera, for some odd reason, especially after I rewatched season 1, season 2, she's really grown on me, and here's why. Tera was introduced as the maternal figure of the show. She's a speaker magician, so cycling back to Sypha, we already kind of had that preconceived notion about she's already powerful, right? We already know, like, okay, she can hold her own in a fight. And there's a level of grace when she's fighting. She's so poised and so calm and so collected. And you just think that she's going to be like a minor character, and you're not really thinking it's going to be much bigger than that. And then we're treated to her backstory. And I think that's what really drew me in to Tera, is knowing her backstory, knowing that she had to kill her sister because her sister was turned by Ursubet, knowing that her sister was captured and there was nothing that she can do, knowing that she had to flee her home country, go into a foreign land, live as a foreigner, fall in love with a man of power who maybe at the time was a good man, but for whatever reason fell into darkness, keeping that a secret from her daughter because she wanted to protect her, because obviously she's in a foreign land, she's a foreigner. The person that she ended up having a daughter with isn't allowed to have children, right? Because of the oath of abstinence. And so it's almost like she's constantly robbed of like her happy ending, right? And I think what really gravitates me to Tera is we didn't get a lot of it, but we could tell that she has a very nurturing and supportive relationship with Richter. And because Richter lost his mother when he was a child. And I relate to that somewhat because I'm also adopted. And so I think anyone who can take on a child, raise them as their own, and give them that love and support, and just make sure that, they become who they're meant to be in life, I think that's commendable. And it just goes to show who she is as a character. And it also goes to show that speakers, even in that era, are still upholding their traditions. And you can see that they haven't lost their way. Because that's really what the speakers are there to do. They're supposed to kind of spread the word and, support those in need and get them the help that they need. And I think that Tera exemplifies that the most. And I would have been fine with her character just stopping there, right? Because I was like, all right, she's cool, she's powerful, she's a speaker, she's a magician. That's cool, right? I'm fine with that. And then she ends up getting turned by Ursubet into a vampire, to all of our shock. I think we all expected Ursubet to just kill her. And so now you have this character who was already powerful before. She has such a rich history. Again, doesn't seem to get that happy ending, and now she's being turned into a vampire. And you have a character who should not necessarily exist in this universe. You have a speaker vampire hybrid. And I just locked in. I'm like, oh shoot, like Tera is going to be a problem. And season 2 of Nocturne, I know this is not a Nocturne discussion video, but season 2 of Nocturne really gave us like nuggets and like potential on where her character can go. And all I need from her, for her to be my number one, because right now Drolta is my number one, is if we can get a costume change. I need a little bit more skin. I'm tired of the rags that she's currently wearing. A little bit more skin. I know it's not good to objectify women, but I'm very much a gay man, so it's different over here. I'm not looking at her like that. I need her to be yassified. You know what I'm saying? You know, get her the costume change, get her some good one-liners. I need to see these vampire and speaker powers. Like, I need them to be married in like, just, I need to see it in action. We got a taste of it when she fought against Juice. Like, I can tell it's gonna be nasty work when she really gets a hang of her powers. I think what I really like about Tera the most, which is why I have her so high up in this list, is I'm a Naruto fan, and some of the best written characters in Naruto that are women characters, because not a lot of them, but the ones that are, they have some type of rich past that's like wrought with like tragedy, and they're really in tune with their emotions. And I'm thinking about Tsunade here. Tsunade was a war veteran. She lost, you know, family members, loved ones, and she was a healer. And so imagine being a healer and you can't save your loved ones. There's something very similar to that about Tera, where she is powerful, but in the moments that she really needed to, she couldn't protect her sister, and you could tell that she lives with a lot of regret with that. And I don't know, I just really like stories like that. So this was kind of like a makeshift top 4, top 5 female character list. I will definitely churn out more, maybe make it a little bit more polished, but I just wanted to hop on and talk to you all. Have been having a lot of fun getting to know everyone. Like I always say, the Castlevania community, like y'all are hilarious. You guys are unhinged, but it's been a lot of fun. If you like videos like this, please add this to your playlist. I actually created a Castlevania Nocturne discussions playlist that I'll link at the end of this video. Add that to your playlist, watch it, comment, and send this to people who are also fans of the show. It really helps when people see this that are meant to see this, right? I don't want you guys just sharing it just because. I want to kickstart the conversation and get people really, you know, invested into the show like I am, because I just think it's a phenomenal show. But yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video. As always, take care and have a wonderful week. From Vampire